2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back, episode 192. We got another breakdown coming out of Philadelphia, but before we get there, the news has been dropping like it's hot. If you haven't been listening to Lesbo and the Bean, you haven't had your ear to the ground because we've been talking about this for months. The Piper has come to collect, and that comes by the Irish government estate, officially Conor McGregor being looked into for sexual assault cases. It hit the New York Times. It's official. We made it. We on the big names. We in the big sheets. What have you heard about Conor McGregor lately? And what we've been talking about here for a while at LaTB.
My favorite is people are like, well, this has nothing to do with why he's retiring. He's really retiring. And I'm like, you don't think one has anything to do with the other?
Totally agree.
You don't think one has anything to do with the other at all? Come on, people. It's pretty crazy. I mean, but it's not. We knew exactly what was going on. Just because somebody has a ton of money. They're a fist fighter for a living. Not that fist fighters rape people, but
True.
Hooligans. He's a hooligan. This isn't like the first incident of Conor McGregor being Conor McGregor.
Very true.
So, it sucks. I hope it's not true, but that little kid looked like Conor McGregor. And for the people just to stay ahead of it, if it all went down, Homegirl's also saying that she had a kid by him.
100%.
Just to stay ahead of it, if this is all news to you.
And people also keep forgetting that there was a point in time where Conor supposedly had a hit out on him in Ireland because he beat up the cousin or brother of this girl who called Conor out at a club and said, "You ain't fucking taking care of your child." And then he laid some up
as the mob was like
after him.
Or something.
Well, yeah.
So it all is coming about.
It's all time
It's all
together.
coming. It's like the UFC's version of QAnon.
LaTB is the new QAnon. I
don't want to be cute.
I don't want to either. I can't handle that. I can't handle that. That's intense.
That's so funny. Yeah. So Conor, what else? What other image?
Well,
it's all Conor.
It has been all Conor. It usually does tend to take over.
Go listen to that shit somewhere else. We try, not that we don't talk about Conor too.
Oh,
obviously.
Oh,
we do. But we try to steer clear of it. And everybody, if you've listened to the show long enough, I was in love with Conor like everybody else. But, I'm in love with fighters, not personalities. And I used to love, he did what he said. And if you look back to the history of him, but he hasn't done anything great since Eddie Alvarez.
Moving up to 155 is quite a feat that Conor has, but essentially his game of late has been propping up his whiskey and tweeting out every so often a cryptic, "Oh, I'd like to fight you, Masvidal. Oh, sure, I'll take." He's just been teasing. He's been doing the GSP, I have maybe been thinking about training more often. And you're like, what? Why are you even announcing this? Officially, I know GSP is backed off, but the really interesting thing is how Dana White's already commented and said, "Hey, this kid's doing so good with his whiskey, he doesn't need to come back to the UFC." And I feel like they're playing, showing each other's cards, and Conor's like, "Yeah, I'm willing to step away again. You guys need me." And Dana White all of a sudden is like, "Oh, we don't. We got Macy Barber. Macy Barber.
That's what we both
John
said.
Jones.
She sold us on it.
On that
We're
one.
sold. We're like, okay, she is the future. That's if Ronda Rousey and Conor had a kid and Johnny Bone Jones was the guy.
Not even. I would even say Johnny Walker, if you want to go Nardiev, other interesting people. There's a lot of things.
We love Nardiev, but I don't know if a lot of other people even know he exists yet.
That's why you got to trust the process.
Yeah.
Gotta trust the process. We saying it here first. This is somebody who's gonna be contender, still 20 years old. But there's a lot of other prospects that are already like, oh, whoa, they're gonna have some pretty fun careers.
You don't need Conor in the cage for everything he touches from this point forward to bring eyes to MMA.
Right.
He's an MMA star. If anyone looks up or falls in love with his 30 million followers on Instagram, if they do any research, they'll eventually find the UFC, and some stick around. And the other thing, I know casual fans are the ones that blow up a fight card to take it to the next level, so to speak. But you guys, we don't buy every fight card. Hardcores don't buy every fight card. It has to be a pack card for hardcores to go out, and even illegal streamer people that I know, they'll buy fight cards occasionally.
If they're good enough.
Yeah, so I just feel like it's hardcores too making those numbers pop. Stop thinking it's just the casual fans that are the ones that are making the difference. It's us. It's us too. Give us some props, and by us I mean the all-inclusive, like the whole...
Le casual.
Yeah, you know casual. Us, les casuals. Yours would be el casual.
So, fun fights that have been announced as of late. One that's on the tip of everyone's tongue, but officially might be on the rocks, is José Aldo versus Volkanovski. Aldo having a broken rib or some sort of rib injury. He's not pulled out of the fight officially with Volkanovski, but he's fallen out of fights for a lot less and a lot earlier than this. So that one's up in the air. But one that did end up falling out in Fort Lauderdale was Cowboy Oliveira versus Li Jiliang.
That is a damn shame.
Oh, let me mend a broken heart, because we have short notice replacement stepping in on a little under a month. Orlando's own Mike Perry coming against Oliveira.
Oh,
what a bump in that fight, right?
Yeah, that's fun. That makes it a fun fight for sure.
And Lesbo in the Bean here, about a year and a month ago, we ended up watching Mike Perry lose to Griffin in Orlando. Now we're going to end up watching him
lose again to...
At least fight. That's a close fight. We got a fun breakdown for that one eventually, but... Right? Isn't that such a whoa, that sucks. I wanted to see the Leech. You're telling me Mike Perry's gonna... Let's go.
He's more personality. Like, the Leech is... Mike Perry has that personality that sells, too. He's going to sell the fight. He's going to make it that much more exciting. You know when he's in there, it's exciting. You know, hands down.
100%.
And, I mean, Cowboy Oliveira alone, it doesn't matter who he fights. I'm just glad he's not the one who's fallen out. Because we haven't seen Cowboy Oliveira inside the octagon since he had... the vagina.
The transgender surgery on his forehead.
Time back. Yeah. Oh, shit. I ain't touching that.
My bad.
Just leave you hanging by yourself.
My bad. So, any other MMA news that has been dropping like it's hot?
You can send that email to tonight on Twitter.
Come at me. It's a joke. We'll live.
Come on.
So,
come on, everyone. Stop being so tender.
Other MMA news or fights that we need to get into before we get into this Philadelphia card, because it is going to be a 13-card bout. We're going back to Philly.
Going back. What does that make you think of Philly right away?
Born on the streets of Philly, born and raised playing b-ball in the hoops of my days. What is it? Max and relaxing, all chilling, all. What's the beginning of that damn song? I'm losing.
Born in Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground is where I spent most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and I shooting some b-ball outside of the school with a couple of guys who were up to no good. All right. But that is so funny because it's pretty along the same line. Mine was Motown Philly back again. Doing a little East Coast swing. Boys to men going up. So, yeah. I hope we don't get pulled off YouTube for that.
For that rendition, that cover. Those two amazing covers by
mashup, that Philly mashup. Is that so cheesy that they're both relatively cheesy things. Nothing cool. There's a lot of really killer hip hop out of Philly.
True.
And some other stuff. It's just...
Hey, I'm on Big Willie style. I'm just saying.
You're like, hey, nothing wrong with
there ain't nothing wrong with that. The genie, I'm in. Turn them blue. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, it's not racist.
Agreed. Not a bit. It ain't no Robin Williams, but it'll do.
I don't know. I feel like they're both kind of on that celebrity scale where I feel like if there's skeletons in those closets, I feel like there's equal amounts in both of them. They both make me like something's just slightly off. And I know Robin Williams is dead, everyone, but whatever. I feel like that about Will Smith too. He's just slightly off. Like something's just like...
You can't be that famous and be normal anymore.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, he doesn't go grocery shopping. It just don't happen.
And isn't his son's boyfriend Chance...
The creator?
Or is it the creator?
Yeah,
Tyler the
creator.
Chance the rapper.
Oh, it's almost as bad as The Bean. Jesus. So in Philly, born and raised, we got a fight card that's going to be it's going to be stacked, going to be headlined at 155 pounds with Edson Barbosa versus Justin Gaethje, which is a pay-per-view worthy bout all on itself, but we are going to end up getting it on ESPN+. So, getting into it, you know how we like to do here. We always start from the bottom to the top, and it's going to start off at 135 pounds with Alex Perez stepping in against Mark De La Rosa. De La Rosa coming in with an 11-1 record, 2 wins in the UFC, only losing ever to Tim Elliott via submission over a year ago. Since then, redeeming himself, last beating Jacoby Sanchez, who actually just had a really impressive win as of late. So, De La Rosa likes to get it to the ground. He is a Genesis BJJ guy fighting out of Fort Worth. The 24-year-old is so young, and we've seen so much growth from even his Tim Elliott fight in his next 2 bouts. He looks like he's already starting to get a lot more comfortable. His strikes are really coming along. He used to be a serviceable striker. Now he's starting to get into that, whoa, he's putting together legitimate 3-4 punch combinations right into a double leg takedown. So De La Rosa's game has really started to step up. I believe he also has a wife at the 125-pound division. I think they're one of the few married couples in the UFC right now. But De La Rosa, this is their life. This is a family unit. This is what they do. Mom and dad are UFC fighters, and he's got all of his eggs in this basket. And against Alex Perez, who's coming on with a 21-5 record, getting his first loss in the UFC against Joseph Benavidez. Joey B being an underdog there. A lot of people thought the side was going to play out, but Alex Perez was just overmatched by truly a top 3 fighter. Alex Perez took a shot. It didn't work out, but he still has a lot of growing to do. Both of these guys are fairly young. At 27 years old, Perez likes to use his wrestling in reverse to keep it striking, has accurate boxing, not tons of power, but it's really serviceable everywhere. Even on the ground, he doesn't just let himself be submitted or really get out-transitioned all that much. So I think this one's going to be really, really close. The fact that the odds are minus 260 for Perez doesn't make any sense at all to me whatsoever. He's a better fighter slightly, but I like the growth I'm seeing in De La Rosa. I think we got a real live dog here. I'm still siding with Perez decision. I just think that the line's off, so I'm not going to be betting this one. Here at LaTB, we tend to stay away from the first fight of the night, and this one has stay away written all over. If not, dog or pass. De La Rosa's got a real shot. Who do you have in this fight?
I have a big fat stay away, but I do like everything that you're saying. I can't believe this fight is as far apart as they're saying that it is, and I don't know if I see either of the guys getting a finish. I feel like I'm being swayed a little bit to pick Alex Perez by decision because of how heavy favorited he is. But if the lines were closer, I could see myself going with De La Rosa just as easily. So I'm going with Perez decision, but I think this is still a stay away. I think it's going to be a lot closer than anyone thinks. And but maybe not. Dog or pass, I like even that because both guys are going to be laying a lot of points. They're small fighters, you know.
On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the heavy favorite $9,200 in the first fight of the night against $7,000 for De La Rosa. So, if there's a play for me there, it's De La Rosa. But again, there's many other spots throughout the night to be able to make your money. But hey, De La Rosa might be one of those cheap guys that you're going to have to utilize in order to get the finish or high points. But neither of these guys are the craziest scorers. Perez, a little more so. On to 125 pounds, we have Marina Moroz debuting against Sabina Mazo. Mazo being the debuter, perfect 6-0. The Colombian fighter is a Muay Thai practitioner, but she also has coveted Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials. I believe she's a Pancrase winner or a Pan Am's winner, somewhere in there. I'm sure I'm a little bit off on there, but legitimate on the ground. And interestingly enough, on the tape I saw on the Perfect 6-0 fighter fighting out of the LFA scene, she does have a couple marquee knockout wins earlier in the LFA career with a head kick, both of them back-to-back being right head kicks against really strong opponents. And as of late, beating Carlo out of Japan, who's actually a pretty good, it was a 5-round fight, and Mazo, the Colombian fighter, even though she's a young debuter at 22 years old, you can see her fight IQ in there. You can see that she's done thousands of rounds in there. She is very meticulous, concentrated, has a good straight left. She sets it up well, and the reason she gets these knockouts is because she'll pick you apart with that left, keep throwing it down the line, and eventually she'll throw a 3-punch combination and finish it off with a kick, which you know how we like that here at LaTB. But her Muay Thai,
anything on the way out.
Exactly.
If you're hitting on the way out, you're taking it to the next level. You're one of the people we want to watch.
Exactly, and Mazo definitely has that. But her last 5-round fight, she's also one of these Muay Thai fighters, even though she has a strong ground game that we haven't seen that. The first round is arguably her worst round. I saw it in multiple fights. Even at the end of the first round, she got a couple finishes, but she'll give up the first 2, 3, 4 minutes of just like, okay, I'm getting my range. But once she starts to turn it on, she starts to run away with the fight.
I think that is typical of a lot of the Muay Thai fighters.
100%.
Don't you think?
Yep.
Now that you're pointing out, I'm just thinking of all of them, and
All
I don't
of them?
know. I could be a little wrong, but I'm thinking like
Cerrone.
Shevchenko, Cowboy. Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly. And then even Darren Till, he might be one of the few that comes out hot out the gate. But
not even so much.
Oh, no.
Exactly. But against Marina, the veteran, 2-3 fights. How long has Marina been fighting in the UFC now? Maybe more like 4 or 5 fights. But Morose has coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, 8-3, last losing to Carla Esparza, Angela Hill. But she does have a win over Danielle Taylor in there, a win over Christiana Stachian, a loss in there against Letourneau. So Morose, Angela Hill seems like she's more middling. Letourneau's more middling. Esparza isn't that bad of a loss. And a win over Danielle Taylor, even though it's gross and ugly, is still a win. I do believe she got half stunned in that fight, but Morose likes to keep it striking.
And was it Danielle Taylor, it might have been her first fight?
No, she lost to Letourneau prior to Taylor, and then she beat...
Danielle Taylor's first fight in the UFC.
It might have been Danielle.
Yeah,
yes, you might be right. Yes. And for her to eke the loss out with Danielle Taylor's a split decision queen, but Morose was on top on that one. Likes to keep it striking. Good head movement. Good cardio on the ground. She scrambles, but doesn't really have a offensive grappling technique, so... I haven't seen Mazo shoot a takedown, and I haven't seen Morose really shoot a takedown. If she has, they've been very low-quality shots, and I don't think she wants to go to the ground with a Pan Am's champion. So there's a reason we got a minus 180 favorite for her debut. I think this line's spot on. Morose hasn't looked the best, and we're going to have another Macy Barber-esque, not the same thing. She's not going to be throwing the flash kicks, but she's a killer in her own way. And at 22 years old, we got a long time coming with Mazo. I'm excited. How do you feel about this fight?
That's exciting, especially for the 125 division.
Totally agree.
It needs another superstar. It can't just
Shevchenko's sisters all of a sudden.
She's fighting though Montano, I think.
No, Monteferi.
Monteferi. I think everyone was like, she should fight Montano.
That's what everyone wants. Yes.
This is more of a fade on Morose than knowing anything about Mazo. I think this is going to be a dirty split. I'm kind of nervous about this fight. That's what Morose does, and I think this is a big old stay away. I don't think she's going to get finished here. She seems to fight to the caliber of her opponent. But it doesn't look like she's easily to be finished. Was she fighting at 115 before?
I feel like she was as well. Against Esparza, I think that was at 115.
Yeah, and Taylor.
And Taylor, yeah. So she's probably moving up, might be looking a little bit better.
Or a little more frightening. I can't imagine. I don't know how hard her weight cut was for her, but just looking at the photos of Sabina Mazo, she looks big. She looks like a big girl.
She's lanky.
So, I should stick with what I know with Moroz, but Moroz is just one of those people that you talked about the ring IQ that you like, the Sabina. I never seen it in Moroz. I never ever
agree.
see her with it. She almost seems like a counter striker only or something, and then she's not really thinking too much about.
She's not too active. She doesn't go
Yeah.
that far forward, so she just has a lot of check marks that look bad in a fight.
I'm gonna
I feel
go
like.
dirty split Mazzo. That goes against too many rules of mine, but I'm gonna stay away from this fight.
I totally agree, and even though I was talking up Mazzo so much, I'm also in that decision type of category, and 8,800 for the heavy favorite is way too much for a debuting fighter against anyone with any type of credentials in there. I mean, Moroz has beat caliber competition, which is Taylor in there, so she has lost to others, but it's definitely higher than Mazzo, I think, has faced so far. Moroz, 7,400. I'm not going to take a shot on this fight either way. If there was someone, it'd be Sabina, but it's a big fat stay away as far as DraftKings.
Points.
Yeah, there's no way debut. It has to get a
Moroz
finish
likes
to pay
the
that off.
dirty splits.
On to 135 pounds. We have short notice card replacement in here. They filled it out from a 12 card to a 13 card bout within the last week. And stepping in is going to be Ray Borg. Stepping in short notice is Casey Kenny debuting. He last had a finish under a month ago. Knee finish, 11-1 fighter. It was about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. There was a gnarly knee against, I can't remember the opponent's name, but it was in the middle of an exchange, and it was like a standing knee, essentially, but homeboy was out. He looked like Stephen Thompson in there. He was out on his feet. Hit the ground like a gorilla, and Kenny took very little damage in there. The tape that I saw on this young man being 11-1, only getting a loss in there in the LFA circuit as well, is on the Contender Series to Adam Adlin, split decision. Kenny only got this fight because he was willing to step in short notice. It wasn't that, he did have a 4-fight winning streak in the LFA, won the championship, especially off of that nasty knee, but he is starting to put it together at 28 years old. It's just the fact that he has to come in short notice against Ray Borg, who's a former title contender. Ray Borg's a tough fight for anybody in the division at 135 pounds, let alone a debuter who's only fought LFA level of competition, which is good, but we know what Ray Borg wants to do in there. The 11-3 fighter goes for that double leg takedown, uses that ankle pick, gets on top of you and throws punches until it's over. He's got gritty submission defense, tons of cardio, is fighting for his son and his family. Ray Borg, outstanding guy, somebody that you do not need to worry about even bad fight IQ. I feel like he goes in there with a plan and does everything in his power to enact that plan, and that's usually getting this fight to the ground. I don't think Kenny has enough on the ground as well once it gets there to get even back up or really throw up submissions to scare Borg. So I see Borg running away with this heavy decision. I think it goes 30-27 for the debuter, but we do get to see Kenny in the division. He'll get somebody much more of his caliber next fight out when he's got a full training camp, and he's going to stick around for a while. So
I'll just make him better.
Exactly. Because, there's a top 5 guy he gets in a debut short notice. Come on. What do you expect from the guy here?
Are you excited finally about Ray Borg moving up to 135 here instead of killing himself at 125?
I like it. I do like it. I think he's going to also realize, whoa, I can compete with these guys at 35.
And he was missing every other time, looking
Yes.
like hell. In my opinion, a lot of the fights take out DJ. His other losses could have, in my opinion, been totally too harsh of weight cuts. I'm really excited to see him up at this level, and I think the more of these smaller guys that move up to the 135, being 5'4" won't matter as much. Being shorter, because there'll be a lot more shorter guys, and the taller guys will have to train for them as well. So I think this is actually nice for both guys, and I don't know if it's partial because of Borg's kid, but I'm glad he's kind of getting in for as easy as a win in the UFC. Yeah, it's still a guy at the next level that I'm excited to watch going forward, but I think Borg is going to lay out a lot of points here. I think Kenny's a tough enough guy to take a lot of punishment, and that's what we're going to see. So could be between 90 and 110 points for Borg just on strikes alone.
Wow.
I think get him down like ground and pound takedowns, but
That's what I
don't
think
think Kenny's going to be getting up a lot for multiple takedowns.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be a bunch of ground and pound nasty elbows. I think really Ray has something to prove in this fight. It's been a long time since we've seen him out there, and I'm excited about it.
Ray Borg, 9,400 on DraftKings against Case Kenny's 6,800. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to put Borg on a bunch of cards, because even if he gets that 90, he's not even paying it off. He has to get 94 points or above, essentially, to be paying off that 9.
I feel like, in my opinion, if you're cost me over 9,000 anywhere,
it's 100 points.
I need 100
points.
over.
Totally
but
agree.
The Ray Borg thing, that's just always going to be too much to pay for Ray Borg.
I totally agree. He's never worth that amount at all whatsoever. And even with Kenny in this spot, it's not going to be worth it in order to put him on your card. So there's other spots that you're going to have to fill in with those type of bouts. At 185 pounds, we have Kevin Holland coming in against Gerald Meerschaert. Meerschaert coming in with a 29-10 record. Last loss being to Jack Hermanson submission as of 3 months ago. Prior to that, he only lost to Thiago Santos. Did he have a loss in there against Usman? Was that Meerschaert? Or was that somebody else?
I'm going to think of the Vikings' name in a minute. It wasn't Meerschaert. It was the good-looking dude. Not that Meerschaert isn't, but he kind of looks like... There used to be this movie called Meatballs.
Molly McCain Meatballs?
No. There's an alien on it, and Meerschaert looks a little like that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Sexy guy. He's in the top 10 sexy guys in the UFC. That's who Usman fought and pulled down. And people are yelling at us right now, like, I can't believe... But we can look it up like everybody else. But that's why you're here listening to Lesbo and the Bean, because we don't sit there like dweebs and, like, have all these cards, like... We're making our head work still, people.
Trying to make them work.
Before we're implanted with the Terminator. I'll think about it while you...
So, Meerschaert likes to get fights to the ground, go to the submission. The Icelandic heavy metal rock god has won all sorts of awards outside of the ring for his Nordic ways, but has been, I believe...
he's from Wisconsin. You're talking about the
I'm
other guy.
Still,
the
dang
other
it.
guy.
Why am I getting these guys? Do they have the same name?
I think he's Nordic, the guy you're talking about. Like, I called him a sexy Viking, too.
Yeah.
It's not Meerschaert.
Dang
Meerschaert's
it.
from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh.
But a lot of people think of a lot of people from Wisconsin because they think the Vikings came in through the Great Lakes and then...
True. I watched that documentary. Who was that? Leif Erikson?
Yeah.
Leif Erikson?
It was... Oh, darn.
Yeah, Leif Erikson.
No. I was trying to think of the other guy's name. I was going to just have it and...
Is Meerschaert heavy on the Twitter? Is he always... Or is it the Nordic one?
I don't know either of them to be.
I think the other Nordic guy is a bit more of a prolific Twitter guy. But back to the breakdown.
I'm going to think of it.
Meerschaert likes to use his wrestling to get it to the ground, get those rear naked chokes, likes to wear you out, has pretty good double leg takedown. Even though I'm getting him confused, I did watch Meerschaert's tape in there. And Hermanson is a quality competitor in there 3 months ago. He lost via submission in a bout that he was getting outstruck a bit more on the ground. He really started to once the hooks got in for Hermanson. Meerschaert really just started to fold up in there, but I think he has a much more level competition here. In Holland, Holland is 14-4, only losing his debut against Santos short notice, last beating Phillips in a submission 4 months ago. But again, Phillips being that really low caliber guy. Holland, though, is a good striker, super long. At 26 years old, he is 6'3", but he looks a lot. He's that very Anderson Silva-esque in there. Good front teeps up the middle, front kicks up the middle. On the ground, super sneaky. He was able to beat Phillips, but he was able to get it there by actually shooting in as well. This, to me, is got Holland winning the striking as Hermanson did. And on the ground, I don't necessarily think Holland is as dangerous, and Meerschaert can hold his own, so I see it kind of neutralizing out. But on the feet, I do see the decided advantage going to Holland. I do think that he could keep Meerschaert at bay because he does lunge. Meerschaert moves forward with his head down at times and throws 3 and 4 punch combinations, but he keeps his head on a straight line, so even one of them dirty clinch knees can get up in there. I got Holland decision. I don't know how heavy I'm going to go on this one, especially for the highest price tag with Holland. Phillips is a much lower competition than Mearshart. So I got a dirty split, honestly, on the way. I don't see how this is such a big
Is
favorite.
the other guy we're thinking of. I did look it up, everyone. So the YouTube audience doesn't say, she looked it up. I did. Emil Meek.
Meek. It's Meek. It's 100% Meek. Damn it. Why do I... It's because they got
No,
Nordic
I think
names.
I feel like I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, it is Meek.
I think I'm going to go with the underdog on this. I just don't know what Kevin Holland's really done to super impress me in there yet. And I've seen Gerald Mearshart make it through a lot more than I was expecting him to make it through. I think he has an okay ground game, and I think he has a better stand-up than anyone is anticipating. I think his ground game is good enough that he can keep working on the stand-up. So I'm going to stick with what I know. I'm going to go with the underdog in Mearshart. I actually think he can submit because I think he's going to have the better cardio. I think he's going to have the better ground game. And I'm going to try to grind Kevin Holland out and take away some of that power in the first round. So if that's what I'm going to try to do, I got to think Mearshart's going to do the same thing. And I do think he has a nasty grind. I do think he gets his good head placement in the chest. I think he gets his shoulders all up in there and grinding on the face. I think he has... it's not Usman-esque, but it's heavy like that when he's leaning on someone. So I'm going to go with Mearshart submission round 3.
Wow. Big underdog for Lesbo. Plus 170 for the underdog.
I think that's weird that it's so...
I agree. These lines, I don't know what they're seeing that I'm not, but I'm like, this
Thiago
is closer.
Santos decision? Is that why?
For Holland?
Yeah, is that why?
That's why people, they're like,
he
he's not
took
going to
it
be able to
on
get knocked
short notice.
out. Right. And it will wait up even, I think.
Yeah, I think it might have been at 205. I don't remember for sure.
Right.
But I also have to say about Santos, or it might, no, I think it was at 185, but it was Santos' last fight at 185. And Santos is... I might be wrong on this. Look it up. I feel like he's fighting more than anybody else right now.
Oh,
I
by
feel
far.
like Homeboy's out every other
like
month.
5 or 6 fights in a year.
Yeah, I think Mearshart's the underrated
I
guy.
do. I totally agree. I think he is being underrated. Plus 170 underdog, 7,300 on DraftKings for Mearshart against Holland's 8,900. I'm even saying this is a decision type of a fight, so there's no way you're seeing me pay over that 8,900 for Holland.
I see some quit in Kevin Holland.
I don't see quit in him necessarily.
People are like, he made it with Santos. But Santos' last fight at 185, and I feel like if you look back to that, and this is all off memory, the most gassed we ever seen Santos.
Oh, yeah.
at the
He
end
was
of that
breathing
fight.
heavy, for sure. He was just getting held down. I like what you're saying with Mearshart there. It's a fun underdog. It's definitely a live underdog. But points-wise, interesting. I feel like we have a lot of splits and kind of decisions turning about.
And I have not been doing great. I've had a rough skid.
We all go up and down. That's
Yeah,
the name of the
it is
game.
what it is.
It's the name of the game. It's like poker. Or gambling, professional gambling. It's a roller coaster. You got highs and lows, valleys.
I know.
mountains.
My favorite, though, is I'm like, we agreed on a lot, so it should be a good fight night. Well, I guess it was like we got like 8 or 9 out of 12 or something. It wasn't an awful fight night.
Not at all. Not at all.
It
Still
wasn't
doing
like a
well.
4 of 12 like I did last week.
So, on to the 145 pounds.
Look at our cute studio.
It's coming along.
I know. Is this uneven or it doesn't matter because this is moving anyway?
I think it's all going to end up moving eventually. Yeah,
I know. I
don't
have to
think it's
remember to
biggest
get a
thing.
picture of it to put it on the gram.
Oh, we need to get some sort of like a thumbtack picture, like a quality, like, this is our thumbprint.
Yeah, this new studio is coming along.
Woo woo! Also coming along, the career at 145 pounds with Kevin Aguilar versus Enrique Barsolas. Barsolas being the Latin America standout for the Tough Contender Series. The Peruvian fighter comes in with a 15-3 record. Coming off a 4-fight winning streak, only lost to Kyle Bochniak in a split decision. But as of late, getting again 4 in a row against Brandon Davis, which all I ever see is people beating Brandon Davis. Every week I feel like I hear, this guy beat Brandon Davis. Am I making that up?
No, somebody just last week fought Brandon Davis and they went
won.
to a nasty decision and it was like the fight of the year contender. Who was it? Yeah, that's funny.
Everybody has a fight against Brandon Davis in there, but beating Chris Avila, Gabriel Benitez in there as well. Barcelos comes in with wrestling accolades, great gas tank. You know he's training at altitude up there in those Mayan mountains, but he is definitely a grinder. We usually tend to like that. He has a good double leg, great single leg, transitions in between both well, will slam you on your back if need be, will stay on top and ground and pound you, and actually has super underrated boxing. He tends to be more of a counter striker, and a lot of people don't like Barcelos' style because he tends to sit back and counter and not do much in the fight. He really tends to make his opponents look a lot worse than they are, and people tend to think that that's a bad fighter instead of understanding no, he's turning this fight into his game plan and giving himself the best advantage.
Patience pays off.
100%. So Barcelos does that, and what he's ultra smart with in those last 30 to 10 seconds, always goes for a takedown. Always, and he gets some high percentage value in his takedowns when he goes for it.
What's his nickname?
Enrique El Fuerte Barcelos. Strong. El Strong. Barcelos. But
Strong?
The Strong. You know what? You know what he be talking about up in Peru. Oh, you know. Strong like bull.
Strong and long. He's got a baby's arm. I don't know if he does.
So, Barcelos here uses his wrestling in reverse to keep it striking until those last 30 seconds to get his takedowns. And against Kevin Aguilar, being 16-1, came in and had a Fight of the Year contender against Rick Glenn 3 months ago. I mean, that was a short notice fight. Absolute war. Rick Glenn in there ate some huge shots. So did Aguilar. Aguilar actually waving it in, saying, come on, let's go, let's go. Gets into more of that brawling, stylistic type of matchup. And in this type of fight against a guy with high fight IQ, like I'm saying with Barcelos, you can do all that. You can wave him in and say, come on, stand right here, cross this line.
Get frustrated.
He's going to throw a jab in your face and take you down. And you're going to be like, oh, you don't want to fight, bitch. And he's like, I'm getting the dubs, homie. I'm getting the dubs, homie.
I'm winning.
So I just see Barcelos taking this where he wants to. Striking-wise, I really like the Muay Thai Aguilar has. But again, he gets lulled into these brawls. And that's where he makes his name. When he actually gets in there against people with game plans, he can start to get picked apart a little bit more. So I'm siding with the slight favorite. This is a coin flip, near even. Minus 120 Barcelos, minus 110
Is it
Aguilar.
Barcelos or Barzola?
Barzola.
Okay.
Sorry. Barzola.
I never wonder.
No, it's right.
When it comes to any kind of anything, if it's in South America, I'm like, I don't know the pronunciation.
No, you're right. Enrique Barzola.
Okay.
Fuerte. So, give me the slight favorite, 15-3. A little more experience and a way better game plan overall.
I agree. I like Barzola. How much is he on DraftKings?
8,200 against 8,000.
What kind of points does he
for
get
Aguilar.
if he's a grinder?
Average 87.3
Oh, that's
points.
not bad at all. That's
Not
actually
bad.
a nice average against a guy who's game enough for him to get those kind of points. I like Barzola here, and I like Barzola on my cards.
I agree with that. I think that's somebody that I'm going to be able to play, even though I got a decision in that fight. I don't think it's a finish either way.
I think he should be a more favored in it, actually. I think it shouldn't be as much of a coin flip.
I was surprised at how close the fight was, because I was in the same boat thinking that Barcelos should be more in that like minus 150 range. So the fact that it's even close, but still, that means that minus 120 is value. Like I'm willing to pay more for him. So put money on it while you can, even though it's minus money. It ain't no free bet. It don't qualify as no free bet.
True.
But
true.
It's money. It's money. You're welcome.
And
You're
could
welcome.
be. If it's this close now, it could swap lines.
It could be even as soon as it hits even money. That's plus 100 in my eyes. So anything left with that profile fight? On to 155 pounds, we have longtime veteran in there, Ross Pearson, coming in against Des Green. Pearson, 20-15 record, almost 500, but he's been in there at the top echelon for a long, long time. The epitome of a gatekeeper. If you can't beat Ross Pearson right now at this point in his career, you might be getting that pink slip. And unfortunately for Ross Pearson, just don't see any title contention coming down the line. He's set in his ways at 34 years old. He's just really a great boxer.
You're kind. I wouldn't even have thought of telling him there's no title contention for you. I wouldn't even have thought that, because I would have thought he has to know.
Just trying to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But Pearson is good. He's valiant. He's not going to give up in there.
When I first started watching the UFC, he was one of my favorites.
And he was old then.
He was
He was a veteran back then. He's fought essentially most of his career in the UFC. Last coming off of a loss to Medeski decision, only getting a win in there against Hirota decision, but losing two other top guys, Daniel Hooker. We know again what Pearson does. Uses great boxing. Good kick, doesn't throw it enough in there. Great takedown defense. It's underrated. You can't take him down, but it isn't easy. People will get tired, and Ross is one of those guys who essentially gives up the first round. He's one of these slow starters where he needs a little blood in his mouth to be like, all right, I'm in a fight. Let's get at it.
He always looks rough.
Always gets a little bloody before he ends up coming out. But again, he's just lost a step all over. It is 34, but it's 34 on a hard road.
In the UFC.
In the UFC.
That means he's like 72.
Exactly. His bones are 72 years old essentially in there. But Des Green, 21-8, being also a longtime competitor in there. He has all sorts of Bellator credentials. Coming in and being a bit of a flop in there. Losing to some guys he shouldn't have. Losing some split decisions. Losing some submissions. But coming off of a loss to Taisimov decision in a dirty split, which I honestly gave to Des Green, but I do believe it was in Europe that fight ended up going down. But a lot of people had Green because he was the only one who had takedowns, I believe 3 in the entire fight, and then it was pretty close striking wise, but serviceable everywhere. I mean, he does fall back in his wrestling.
It's because he is so dramatic with that hair.
It does move around a lot.
Yeah, and so it looks like he takes a lot of punches even if he's avoiding getting hit.
Right,
right.
It's
not great for him.
Totally agree. He can, though, take this to the ground if he absolutely needs to. So I think that this is, again, going to be like that Taisimov fight, essentially, for him, where they're going to be near even striking. Pearson might wear it a little worse as far as bleeding, but Green's hair will move around more. So if the takedowns do come about, we are in the States, so I do think that they'll end up favoring that to the American fighter a little bit more. This is still a close one. I see that it's an absolutely astronomical favorite right now, and I would say probably 2-1 makes more sense to me. Minus 400 for Des Green is just, woo, it's super steep. I'm going to end up staying away from this one. I do have Green decision. I don't see a finish. I think Pearson can end up getting brutalized till the end.
What's Green's average score?
On DraftKings is 41.7 points.
Yeah, I don't see Green laying a lot of points at all.
Totally
I think
agree.
he becomes dependent on the takedown, and once he can't get it, he gets super frustrated. And then if he's going to stand up with Ross Pearson, Ross could eke out this decision. Des Green should be the favorite here. I could even go 2-1, maybe even like 235, like something, but
Right.
This is insane, and it's kind of disrespectful. Ross Pearson's not a guy that just gets KO'd all the time. So, and Des Green isn't a guy that shows tons of power.
100%.
So, I'm going Des Green decision because it's so heavy favorited and because how old Ross Pearson's old as dirt, and I'm kind of fading him here. He's like Dan Henderson.
You're so kind.
At this point, he's like Dan Henderson, but I think Green decision. It shouldn't be so heavy. How much is Des Green?
9,300 on DraftKings.
There's no value.
No way. Absolutely no way.
And I don't see a finish for Ross Pearson, so
Agreed.
it's like if you're desperate for 9-4, whoever that was, that wasn't worth it either. I'm like, Ross Pearson's not going to get finished.
I totally agree. For 6,900, I feel like there's so many people that I've said the odds are off. They have way more of a shot that I don't even need to tell you who to play, because you could pick any one of these lower guys, and as long as they don't get finished, they're going to be worth every dime.
Yeah.
So
I have to do this. The Aguilar here. There's a dude, the K Aguilar and J Aguilar. Don't let that F up your DraftKings. Just pay attention to that.
DraftKings alert.
And pay attention to your parlays, because you'll be like, oh yeah, sure, Aguilar, and then this fight will come on, and
Jessica Aguilar is what you're trying to say there.
Yeah.
And then Jessica Aguilar comes in and is going to muck up your night with some nasty knees
Yeah,
in
you
there.
might want Kevin Aguilar, or you might want Jessica Aguilar, and
Maybe.
Kevin Aguilar gets murked by Barzola. I don't know, but I just
Maybe.
pay attention. Pay attention.
Just know what you're getting into. At 115 pounds, Marina Rodriguez knows she's going to come in against the longtime veteran in Jessica Aguilar. We have the 10-0-1 fighter getting her first draw ever in her career against Ronda Marcos decision 6 months ago. Rodriguez came in as a slight favorite there, ended up getting a draw, which I don't know if it looks that bad since we just saw what Marcos really did in there, but Marcos also really stayed striking with Rodriguez, and it was a really interesting fight. The 10-1 fighter has long striking. She is fairly tall at 5'7" with a 2-inch reach advantage at 65 inches. She likes to use it, kick to the leg well, keep it striking. When she's pummeling along the fence, she has the better head positioning. She'll put it more into that chest, turn you on the outside. She's thrown an elbow occasionally in there, but she does like to throw more straight punches in there. I think she can keep this fight standing because she already did against Ronda Marcos, and I don't see Aguilar being able to even emulate half of a takedown that Marcos did, especially with Aguilar's steroid use, bad knees, multiple knee injuries. She is a little advanced at 36 years old, and you burn me once, you can't burn me again. And Aguilar's done that quite a few times. Against Zhang, she got demolished submission armbar, but she had her head cut wide open against Zhang in there 4 months ago in China. Aguilar still, she does have that veteranship. She can make it into a bit more dragging of a fight. But again, if she keeps this striking, she throws very slow arm punches, does Aguilar. Rodriguez should have much more of a pop in there. I don't see a finish here either, but I am going to go with Rodriguez's decision, the big favorite. It's just, this is more of a fade on Aguilar than anything, and I don't think I can ever put my money behind Aguilar. Just the type of fights she has, they really are black and white. They're so bad that it's just, don't even trust her ever, ever at all. So give me Rodriguez, decision right now. Who do you have in this fight?
I have Rodriguez as well. Jessica Aguilar is just never really exciting in there. She never lays out a lot of points. She's just kind of a placeholder in the division or something. And sorry, that sounds so harsh. Rodriguez, I'm excited to watch her, but I don't think she's in danger of being taken down, which is where Jessica Aguilar would have a little more of an advantage. But I like how long she is compared to Jessica. I just think Jessica's going to find herself at the end of a lot of punches and kicks for 2 rounds if she even gets an attempt to get on the inside. I think Marina will be pretty safe and be able to have a point fight, even though I have her winning by decision. She could catch her with something. I think she's going to lay strikes the whole time. I'll probably stay away from this fight altogether.
Totally agree. Even though we both have the minus 300 favorite, for 9,100, there's just almost no way. Unless Rodriguez gets that first round finish.
I don't see that finish.
I agree with that, but if there is a one fighter to finish the other one, it'd probably be Rodriguez, right?
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth, but I feel like the theme of this fight night so far has been stay away.
The whole
Has
fight
it
night
not?
so far.
But they're exciting bouts. It's just the odds have just been really.
But you know what we shouldn't
Really
stay away
huge.
from? LatherandCompany.com.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
And so you've heard us talk about it here before. The mat soap, how antibacterial is not great for your skin, and antibiotic and all that stuff, and it can make you have stuff like staph.
Yep.
So Lather and Company informed us that they actually have a bar that emulates that, but so much cleaner ingredients, and it's their facial detox bar. So if anyone wants to get a Lather and Company version of the mat soap, it is their facial detox bar. But there's so much other cool stuff.
So,
there too.
if I can phrase it maybe a little bit better, I want to say that the facial detox bar is actually beneficial for skin flora in order to help fight off staph and other fungal infections.
Yeah,
100%.
that would be awesome.
I use it. It smells great. I really enjoy it. I'm always lathered up, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Taking those night showers.
And if you're thinking about getting something, because, you know, we always have a holiday coming up that maybe it's somebody's birthday. Maybe you have a mom that you want to get a little gift, or you just want to bring home something for your lovely, or you're handsome. There's
True.
shit there too. We were just talking about Matt. So
The sandalwood. Ooh,
yeah,
the sandalwood.
so good.
Oh, I smell patchouli up a little more often than not.
I like Woodsman.
Yeah.
I like there's the Woodsman soap. I think that smells really good. And there's body frostings that it might be getting to the time of year that you can't get those, but you can use the code LATB15 on their site and get 15% off. Plus, for the people in the continental United States, free shipping and handling. So over orders $25 or more.
Awesome.
So, yeah, latherandcompany.com.
Good to know. Remember to like and subscribe at Weakneck Baby on Twitter at
That's
Zoltanite.
me.
at Lesbo and the Bean, also on that Instagram.
Yeah, and if you're
sure
not
to
following
follow
our
us.
Instagram, I almost feel like it's worth, if you don't have an Instagram account, it might be worth getting one.
Whoa, high praise. I like it. It's true.
There's shit
It's
to
true,
look
though.
at. It's
There
enough
is.
to inform you, and I kind of like, if you're still Facebooking, you know, sometimes better than people's opinions are just their photos. It's like the best part of Facebook is Instagram, and that's not even commercial. It's just because you can follow at Lesbo and the Bean on Instagram. And back to the show. See, we're still in the show. That wasn't just a cut.
It wasn't a cutaway. On to the main event, though. We finally made it onto the main card. It's going to be hell of a fun one because we're starting it off right with a profile matchup at 145 pounds. We have Shayman Moraes coming in against Black Explosive Sadiq Youssef. Sadiq coming in with an 8-1 record, only getting a TKO loss a while ago, but since then has rattled off a 3-fight winning streak. 2 in the UFC, last beating Mokhtarian via TKO 3 months ago. Prior to that, beating Mike Davis in a decision 7 months ago. Youssef calls himself Black Explosive. He listens to Jack Slack. He's all about that. And he's a great striker, Nigerian fighter. We got a Nigerian contingency coming in through and rolling up. We're going to have another one later on in the night. But Youssef had a really touching win where his brother recently passed away, and then we talked about it a little bit, and it's really shows that he's all in with this fight stuff, and he turns some of that pain into training, and it's looking better for him overall. But Youssef is the epitome of Black Explosive. First round is obviously his most dangerous. Second, still dangerous. Third, starts to get a little hairy. That muscle really does start to wear. The hands start to come down a little bit more. Technically, Youssef is very proficient and a laser beam, but in that third round is where you can really start to exploit him. Takedown defense has been solid, but again, he's been fighting middling competition at best now that he's finally starting to get up there. We're going to see because these grinders, I think, are going to be naturally his toughest fights because he's not going to be able to get him out of there with one shot. And do not believe Mokhtarian is a level UFC caliber opponent, because he's not, even though he's been in the UFC. Shayman Moraes, though, only losing his debut against Zabit Magomedsharipov, then last beating Matt Salis, and as of late, Julio Arce in a split decision 4 months ago. Moraes is serviceable on the ground. I know he's like a purple belt or something like that out of Brazil, but really out of the Nogueira Team Nogueira, but the Muay Thai striking of Moraes is where he likes to make his money. And stylistically, this is a really interesting fight because they're both strikers, but the Muay Thai goes to Moraes, where Youssef is more of an MMA striker, mixes it a little bit differently. But quality of strikes, I would say, is probably on Shayman Moraes' side. I think that he has much better game to the body, which I think is a profile way to get to Youssef, and Moraes mixes it up well in there, goes to the body well, back to the head, and throws in elbows eventually. So he's got good takedown defense. I don't see either guy really taking it to the ground. I think they stay striking. This is such a fun profile fight. Either one of these guys can finish at any point in time, and I haven't had too many underdogs throughout the night, but I honestly think that in the third round, Moraes takes this over. I think the first round goes to Youssef, second round is a coin flip, and third round, if Moraes doesn't finish it, it goes to decision, he wins that. I see a dirty split, if not a finish, for Moraes. I mean, Youssef could always get a finish in there as well, but give me the underdog plus 145. I like Moraes in this spot. This is a fun one. I can't wait to see both of these guys moving on.
I agree with you. It's so weird to have... I can't believe he's the underdog. I guess it's just slightly the underdog. I just am going to stick with what I know here. And Mokhtarian isn't UFC caliber, like you were saying. His other one was on the Contender. I like Sadiq Youssef. I'm excited for him going forward. He's a young dude. I think fights like this will just make him better. I'm just giving it to Moraes for the amount of experience he has inside the octagon and the level of competition that he's had in comparison. So beating Arce is decent to me.
I agree with that.
Just, Anaconda choke by Zabit. That's what everyone was like. This is the hottest prospect in the world, Zabit. So I don't think it's that crazy. I'm going to give it Moraes' decision. I think he is going to have the better cardio, and I think the more controlled striking. I don't think it's going to be
Yusuf's got a gnarly leg kick, though. He does have a gorgeous, gorgeous leg kick, but Moraes will check those. And after 2 hard checks, those leg kicks just don't flow as easily, especially if Bones Breaking
I like
Yusuf
the
has that type
underdog there
of power.
as well. Yeah.
8,700 for Yusuf, the favorite, minus 180 against the underdog, 7,500 plus 145. Here at LaTB, you know how we like to do. Marias might be that Bandit Jones pick of the week. At least it's a standout so far. We haven't been able to crown one because we haven't decided. This is the first one that we've officially decided on.
Yeah, what are we gonna? Is it the Bandit's bonus or is it Bandit Jones?
I like all of them. Why can't it be all of them?
Just for the
Sure,
label
consistency.
No, because we actually have a
The
picture
BB.
that we stick on it.
The BB
Yeah, something.
Bandit bonus.
Bandit bonus. LaTB's Bandit bonus. That has it rolls. Yeah.
I like it. So,
It
Marias.
could be. I don't know, but putting that on him, I don't know
Ooh,
why.
it's a scary fight.
Yeah,
It's
so
yeah, all of a
scary.
sudden it's like, uh-oh. But, I mean, we got to put our money where our mouth is eventually.
Someday.
Eventually. Onto the 205 pounds, we have Paul Craig coming in against Kenny Zenjuku. Zenjuku coming in with a perfect 6-0 record, fighting out of Nigeria as well. Zenjuku, though, has been out of Fortis MMA, out of Texas, fighting with a lot of top-level guys there out of Fortis. He last beat Dennis Bryant 7 months ago in a TKO. Even though with that fight, look back at Bryant, he was 32 years old, and I don't even want to say dad bod, because he was just like some construction worker.
He was just dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Dad.
He was a construction worker, essentially, who came in and was just like, oh, wow. The size discrepancy in athleticism was just very dramatic in there. And Bryant didn't look like he was... It was surprising that he even made it all the way there. So, Zenjuku comes in, likes to strike from the outside. Good clinch. Good elbows from the inside once he gets you up on the clinch. Garbage takedowns. Absolutely trash takedowns for this guy. People are going to start talking all sorts of crazy things for Kenny because he has everything. He looks the part at 205. He's a young man at 26 years old, still growing into his body. And you can see that he's a little reckless with his strikes in there. He does throw a lot more looping punches. His jab's almost a hook. He kind of jab hooks at the same time. But with that, he leaves his head on a straight line. And I see eventually an overhand right being the thing that's going to end up getting Zenjuku's hands to come up, because so far the fighters he's been able to fight, he's been able to tee off on them so much that he doesn't have to worry about that reactionary counter shot. He just lets go 5-piece combinations because he's outsizing them, being a better athlete. And now at the UFC, they're not going to do that. They're going to frame off of you and throw one right back at you. Unfortunately for Paul Craig, he's not the type of guy to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to get this fight where he wants to, which is on the ground. Zenjuku has barely been on the ground against low-level competition, and that is the only way Paul Craig gets a win in there. The 10-3 fighter has only won once in the UFC, and it was against Ankalaev. We all know that legendary comeback, but it's the only reason he's still in it. Did he beat De Silva as well? Well, Frankenstein... Henrique De Silva, that son of a bitch.
I know, but he was 12-0 going
True,
in. Better
God damn
than
it.
all the record of everybody that Kennedy's ever fought.
Fucking hate De Silva.
Kennedy hasn't fought one guy with a winning record
I
except
know.
for the guy in the dad bod you're talking about, the construction worker.
And you look at him and you're just like, wow. So there's a bit of padding with Zenjuku, but he does have the potential there. Like, you could see it in the rough edges. You were like, eventually I'm going to bet against him.
You feel Ngannou about him?
Once he gets his first loss in there, you're going to watch a crazy amount of growth in this young man. But right now, he's just going to keep using what he has, and that's just out-muscling guys, essentially. Craig's striking is journeyman at best. He gets hit a lot, and he will pull guard more to get you on the ground. And I'm hoping Fortis does have a good game plan, that if Zenjuku... I know for a fact, I saw actually Zenjuku hurt a couple guys earlier, and his coaches said, back up. Zenjuku backed up and let him stay striking because he is by far a better striker. I actually do have TKO round number 2 or 3 for Zenjuku, but don't get it twisted. Don't make it think that I'm like, oh, this guy's the next coming of Christ, because he ain't. He's the next, Jorge Masvidal.
Do you think this guy can beat Tyson Pedro?
Zenjuku?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. His ground game is atrocious. is atrocious. Or at least the stuff that I was seeing, especially his double leg shots and takedowns. If somebody wants the time, even a half-ass knee or an uppercut.
Chance? Is that what?
Craig?
Kennedy.
No, I think he's got I think he runs through this fight. I think he wins knockout TKO number 1 or 2 or 3.
Because of power or technique?
I think it's technique, power, and size. I think he uses his size and athleticism to land harder shots, but they're not technically the most the prettiest strikes. But against Craig, you don't need that. You just have to land on his face.
He has a hell of a long reach.
Yeah.
He has that John Jones reach.
But there's a lot of times he just hangs on guys and lets them wear out, and then he frames off and throws elbows. But it's not... It's kind of opportunistic. He doesn't set them up necessarily. Does that make any sense?
Could he get submitted by Paul Craig?
Yes. If it goes to the ground, he can get submitted. Yes, he can. I definitely believe that.
am going to stick with what I know here. I have Craig submission round 3, and I actually think the longer it goes, the more in trouble Kennedy is, and Paul Craig can submit somebody the last 10 seconds of a fight.
True.
Can he take the damage of this guy? I don't know. Is this guy like for real like another Ngannou? And I'm not just saying that because of he's from Africa.
He doesn't have that much power. He doesn't have that type of power. He doesn't. He kills you by 1,000 cuts, but he really likes to push you up against the fence and use that clinch game. That's Zenjuku's technique. Once he wears you out a bit, striking, he's okay on the outside. Again, it's just how bad Craig is.
Does he beat Johnny Walker?
No, Johnny Walker eats. Yeah, Johnny Walker eats Zenjuku alive.
Does he beat Jimmy Crute?
No, I got Crute in that one too.
Does he beat Roundtree?
Yes, he beats Roundtree.
Does he beat Ankleov?
Nah, I think I might take Ankleov there too.
But you have him beating Frankenstein da Silva?
Oh, yes. Yeah, fuck Frankenstein.
No, Luis Henrique da Silva?
Yeah, I still have Zenjuku beating him as well. Yep.
Do you think Paul Craig could beat Dennis Bryant, the guy that...
Yes, I would. Yeah, he could. It's garbage. It's garbage.
I'm going to... Just because of Lesbo rules, I'm sticking with Craig. I think he's going to figure out the submission. It could happen quick. It could happen... I think it's dangerous for Kennedy to stay on the inside, but I also could totally see here that the UFC loves to use Paul Craig to set up their new guys, and if Tyson Pedro is going to KO somebody with elbows, and Kennedy elbows people, it's for an inside elbow, is he going to finish them in the exact same way that Tyson Pedro did? So I could really see myself switching to Kennedy beforehand. This is dangerous. I think I'm going to speckle both guys, though. I think they both could get finished. I think this fight, though, you could bet on a finish.
I actually agree with that. I think the under, which we haven't given out a lot of props lately, but I do agree under 2.5 rounds or it's inside the distance. And I think you're right on either guy. Craig, I like the tape that I saw on the corner, the Fortis corner, because Njuku met another submission guy in there and ended up... Not anytime they got close to the ground, he backed off and was like, I'm running this way. So I like what you're saying. 9,000 though for the debuting fighter on DraftKings minus 230 against Paul Craig 7,200 on DraftKings plus 185.
I hate it because it's Craig.
Yeah, right. I agree. I totally agree with you. It's a tough call, but 9,000 steep. That shit's steep.
And he's knocked out everybody pretty much over the last, how long? 2 years?
Yeah.
1 year. For the last year, he's just knocked out everyone.
Low-level competition. Low level.
But we have a lot of those guys coming through the UFC right now. Like, this is the new breed.
True.
I want to sway to Kennedy. I'm going to sway to Kennedy. KO, because I don't trust Paul Craig. This is going against rules. I'm going to do it, though, early, round 1. But... I'm not going to go heavy on it. Even though I have a round 1 finish, I'm going to actually have Paul Craig maybe speckled on 2. I'm going to not really go heavy. This is a weird fight night for me. I'm already feeling it.
I think it's more like Zenjuku 40%, Craig 20% of my cards, and 60% or 40% untouched cards with this fight.
What makes me pick him is by what you say, like his tape doesn't look like garbage. He looks like he has good ring IQ and all that stuff. I'm like, then he should be able to beat Paul Craig 100%. Easy. And exactly what he said, push away and elbow is exactly to a T how Tyson Pedro beat Craig.
Yep.
So it's like, I could really see that happening again. Is there a submission for that if I push away and Craig's not strong enough to get that down? Oof.
Fun fight. Sounds like a fun one coming up. Sounds like there's going to be some crazy antics regardless of what ends up happening in the fight. But again, eventually Shinjuku will be someone to bet against. Not right now. He's still a young man.
I'm going to go with you on it. I'm going to stick with you on it. I just think it's going to happen sooner because Paul Craig, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen quick or Paul Craig's going to submit that motherfucker. The longer the fight goes on, it's going to make me scared. That's the first MF where I drop the whole thing.
Now we're moving on to a profile fight. We got the lovely ladies. We've had a couple lady bouts throughout the night, but this is one that I'm actually excited for.
It's going to be a knockout round one. I forgot we're on a main card. It's the third fight, getting up there in the fight night.
Right.
I think that they're
looking for a finish.
It's a setup.
Yep, they're looking for a finish,
fight.
just like they're looking to bring in the eyes with these ladies. At 115 pounds, we have Michelle Waterson coming in against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I wasn't ready. She's back, though. She is back. She has finally come back off of that decisive, blistering knockout she had against Jessica Andrade over how long ago now? 6 months ago. She was TKO'd standing. The 12-3 fighter, KK, comes in with a great record, only losing to the top echelon of the 115-pound division. And a lot of that can be said for Michelle Waterson, the 16-6 fighter, karate stylist coming out of that Jackson Wink camp, only losing to Tisha Torres' decision as of late and Rose Namajunas, but last coming off of a 2-fight winning streak against Felice Herring and who else did she beat as of late? I believe it was a split decision over Courtney Casey. But here we have the number 8 fighter in Waterson against the number 6. 6 months for a brutal knockout is what we usually like around here. We're usually, hey, you need at least 6 months or more. And for the ladies, it is rare for a lot of these knockouts to happen, but Waterson has knocked out a couple women in there, and it's with a lot of those kicks. She, as I was saying before, will throw a 3-punch combination and end it with that right high kick, and it does catch people on the end of their nose, at the end of their chins. But against Karolina, she has good enough footwork and movement that on the exit, she also pivots and steps off to the side. You know how we like...
Is this that karate versus Muay Thai again?
Essentially, I mean, this is essentially karate versus Muay Thai, except Karolina does not throw the leg kicks that are needed in there in order to really set up that game plan. But boxing-wise, I do give a bit of advantage to Karolina. On the ground, Waterson does have a much bigger advantage, but we've seen the very best women not be able to get Karolina out of or to the ground necessarily because Karolina has a wonderful whizzer. She has a great whizzer, whizzers in hard, and uses it to keep her feet standing, or keep her up standing to keep her boxing going and kicks. Waterson, though, as I was saying before on other fighters, she has that stepping takedown where even though she's fairly undersized at 115, she's finally started to put on muscle, which, did you see those photos earlier this week?
Yeah.
Oh, Jackson Wink, John Jones. If we talk about TJ Dillashaw affecting all of his teammates.
Do you think, I keep thinking
Holly
about
Holmes?
John Jones and I just have this is such my own conspiracy. I keep picturing John Jones's dude who get whatever shit he gets that he's testing for these picos on. Because I do think there's something that is I think there's pulsing drugs too. I think there's things that are next level that give you spurts of energy and whatever. And so whatever, his guy who's got to be next level, he's the guy.
Yep.
Everyone calls him all the super athletes. He found out it through his brother who are NFL players. And he's like, hey, yeah, he's a little guy. He's a little short guy. I deal with him too in Colorado. And he's like, oh, really? Because remember John Jones's little sentence got cut short.
Yep.
Because he was helping out with USADA. And he kept saying, there's other names, stuff will come out. And even USADA was talking about it.
Which we've seen recently Uriah Faber talking about how he was surprised that TJ hadn't been caught before. For 6 years, Uriah Faber said he had heard. So TJ went 6 years without being caught. You don't think other people are in that 6-year span right now? You don't think other people are doing
really
that?
Doing it.
Oh, really?
Because here's the other thing.
Oh, okay.
Why on earth would he only be suspended for a year? That means it's a tainted supplement, typically, for the year. If it's actual drugs, like if it's steroids or something like that in his system, that's always 2 minimum.
But how hard is it to say, oh, it's a tainted supplement that I dropped? Oh, I accidentally dropped steroids in it and shook it up.
I agree. I always think the tainted supplement rule, but usually they have to find the supplement and test the supplement and blah, 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 blah. Andy was working with that weird doctor that was doing everything, and so he was taking so much stuff that he talked about it on Joe Rogan, the regimen of shit he was on.
He's on all sorts of stuff. I've seen that picture of the table full of pills.
So
you're telling me on it? With all of that, silver oxide isn't going to work.
That's where you're like, are these guys all sponsored by Onnit? And
Joe,
so
they are.
I was like, God damn it, I pop Onnit. But and even if Onnit, like to stick up for them a little bit, just in case they're looking for like a new place to put it, we'll have an Onnit sponsor, but. You could be on it, the company, and getting your stuff from the finest plant ever, and the plant's doing something dirty. You could think you're doing everything right.
And by plant, you mean factory.
Factories and whatever. So it's like you could be doing everything right and still get kind of effed.
Totally.
And it sucks. But the one thing, though, that I love when people are like, you better be careful. Someone will put cocaine in that. Or you better be careful. No one's spending money. Like when people say, like, oh, Halloween now, people are giving out pot candy to kids. No one's giving out any pot candy to your kids.
Send LaTB the directions of that house because I'm going trick-or-treating. I'm going to take it up for one time in a year.
No one's spending money. So that's kind of my argument against, like, what company is spending money to put expensive steroids inside there? Or, like anything like that.
There is companies that do that.
Because they want to get you juiced and then you buy it forever.
Well, no, it's because then they tell representatives, I know this through like the bodybuilding scenes and stuff, through the muscle magazines.
Dirty.
They know. So there'll be a guy that says, get this Lipo 6 because I know what just went through the machine beforehand was this other stuff. But the manufacturers know as well. Like all they do is plead to the commission, the FDA. They just are like, oh, sorry, we accidentally tainted it. But everybody who knows, get that one. You're going to get some extra little HGH.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's all of it's linked up together.
Yeah, back to Michelle Waterson.
Michelle Waterson linked up with John Jones. Them legs are looking all sorts of thick. But I do think that Karolina is able to keep this where she wants to, which is going to be in a striking battle. And I think this turns into a dirty type of split.
Karolina's ever done steroids?
No. She has a very ladylike figure to me.
Because you always are like, everybody. Anytime I ever list you a name, you're like, everybody.
True. She passes the smell test to me.
Is it because it's your KK?
No,
she would never.
Just look at a photo. Look at a photo of KK compared to Waterson, and you tell me if there was one person. Like all of a sudden, Waterson has Holly Holm legs.
Can I say something though? And I don't know if it's. I don't want it to be racist, but have you ever looked at like Asian gymnasts compared to like just some white lady gymnasts?
So you're telling me Asia, like China's never cheated on steroids? Is what you're trying to tell me?
Well, I don't know specific countries, but I just think like build-wise sometimes, like Michelle Waterson has a thick little build. Like Karolina has like a long, lean build.
Yeah, and I always thought that Waterson was more that lean build until her move to Jackson Wink.
How long has she been at Jackson Wink?
Only like 3 or 4 years. After the WME merger, she came from, I believe, Hawaii or something.
So you think Cowboys on steroids?
Cerrone?
Yeah.
Maybe not now, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. That wouldn't surprise me.
Holly Holm?
Them horsebread legs.
She's on the ring.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I saw those twin shots. I was just like, is that a horse? Oh, that's Holly Holm legs. Damn.
I thought you were talking about her hair. She has that long old mane. I'm sorry. I'm so into the steroids that I didn't know if you even made your pick yet.
I got KK split decision. I think this is super, super close of a fight. I don't think you go heavy either side of this. I do think this goes all 3 rounds. Give me her back. I think she's gonna be back. She's back. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Split decision. Who do you have?
I just see Michelle Waterson getting better and better and better every time in there. I wanted to be a Michelle Waterson hater for a period, and she's gone out and surprised me to The Courtney Casey fight was close, but the Felice Herring fight, I felt like she really owned that, and that was a surprise to me. And she took some hard shots in there. I just think she's more well-rounded. I really love KK. She is in a lot of trouble if it goes to the ground. And now seeing Gedalia, and I don't know if Gedalia's just training less or if it's USADA era for Gedalia or
She
whatever.
left the camp that was giving her that juice, though. She
That
went
Novunyao?
to the...
Was she at Novunyao?
She was, and then she moved to the States. So, just saying.
Yeah, I've loved the way Michelle Waterson has looked lately, and I love that camp. I think that camp is just putting together game plans right now that are taking their fighter's skill set and just playing really smart. They're on fire. They're so on fire. Diego Sanchez won. I'm just saying. So they got that heat right now. They got that JW heat. Their Captain John Jones is back in the saddle, carrying his belt. Everything's going good. KK, she's just not changing anything. I'm not watching her change anything in there, and I think she's going to be ball shy. I think she's going to get hit in the face, and we know how. I don't know if she got her nose really broken, though, in the fight. I think she just got cleanly knocked out by Andrade.
Yeah, it was a super clean knockout.
I think Michelle Waterson's a little more dangerous everywhere. I think she has a little more power. I think KK could have faster hands. But I just think Michelle Waterson is going to have a little more power combined with the takedowns, which I think she's going to set up with dangerous kicks. I think because she can throw so many kicks, she's going to get KK blocking a kick, blocking a kick, blocking a kick, take her down eventually. And it'll take a while to happen. But Waterson, I got decision as well. So I think this is going to be a close, fun fight.
I have
Split decision.
KK.
But
So
no,
we're
I have
splitting.
a decision.
Oh,
as well.
okay. So, reading you there on DraftKings, 8,600 for the minus 140 favorite. KK against Waterson, 7,600 plus 110 as an underdog. Another underdog for Lesbo and Waterson here. Not a bad play. I think this one is a coin flip as well. And betting wise, probably end up staying away. Probably the over 2.5 is the best bet there, but that's not going to be plus money by any means. At 145 pounds, we have returning Michael Johnson on a 2-fight winning streak against Josh Emmett, who we haven't seen since Orlando over a year and a month ago against Jeremy Stevens, where he had his entire face rearranged. Emmett actually having a lot of issues since then, not being able to come back to the UFC because he had his entire, not frontal lobe, but...
Orbital?
But I think it was both orbitals, and he had fractures all up in his skull. He actually went to the Orlando hospital. They did a MRI and said, "Oh, you're fine. You just broke your nose." He flew. He could have died.
His brain could have exploded.
He could have died because when he went to Cali 2 weeks later and was like, "I still am not getting better," they X-rayed him or did the MRI, and they're like, "Dude, your face isn't connected. Like your face is just floating around in there." And he's like, "Oh. All they gave me was pain meds and told me to be on my way." So he's had a long rehabilitation, but that's the type of injury that when you come back, like KK, well, not as much as KK, because this is one of those injuries that changes the way you work in there. Every time you get hit, you're just like, oh, do I want to go through that year again? Not to say that Emmett hasn't been training. I'm sure he has a full camp. This fight's been on for a little while, but there is always that hesitation with some of these big guys. You break your leg in there or have a crazy arm break, I tend to take a step back and be like, ooh. Paul Felder says it every time. I don't throw that punch ever again. He never throws that spinning back fist on that arm. He's like, I can't. He's like, I feel my body doing it and I stop because it fucks with me. People think about this kind of stuff. It's inevitable. So, back to the fight. Michael Johnson.
Ball shy.
Exactly.
That's
100%.
If you get hit in the face with, for those that don't know, whoever's gotten hit in the face with the ball, they say it becomes hard for you to catch or swing at like a baseball or a football catch at, or whatever, because you've been hit in the face so many times.
Totally.
And broken your face, so it makes you flinch, which ruins your game. Or they call that to girls that are too scared to give a guy a blowjob.
So, Michael Johnson on his 2-fight winning streak, last beating Artem the Goat Lobov and Andre Fili in a split decision. The 32-year-olds fighting out of Boca Raton Black Zillions, but I believe they're the Armory now. Michael Johnson keeps fight striking, uses his Muay Thai, kickboxing, good leg kicks, great left hand. He throws a 2 and 3 punch combination. He's put down Dustin Poirier. He's knocked out a couple high contenders in there, had a bit of a slump, and it's just because at times Michael Johnson will give up the fight because he, again, fights to the level of his opponent and will give up fights just losing that pitter patter. As far as takedown defense, really good takedown defense. Fairly elite. It is not easy to get Johnson down, but if you do get Johnson down, he does tend to get stuck on his back. So he really tries to keep it upright as much as possible. There was some fun training footage of him and Usman not long ago, really going at it. And that's someone way above his weight class, being at 45 for Johnson. But against Emmett here, Michael Johnson is a better striker. Emmett has that alpha male overhand, right? Throws 1 and 2 punches, but eventually it just turns into an overhand, right? Going into singles and double leg takedowns. And Michael Johnson has fought a lot of these type of fighters. He's fought Feely, who's coming out of that same camp with that same kind of game plan. So for Emmett, I feel like it's one of those situations where the only way he really wins this is by getting it to the ground striking-wise. I think it's less, especially with that ball shyness we're talking about, with that big layoff. I just see too many other check marks not going in the favor for Emmett right now. I do like the side with the grinding wrestlers, but I do think Johnson can keep this where he wants it. And I think this turns into a decision for the slight favorite, -120, Michael Johnson. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I have Johnson for all those same reasons. I was going to ask you if Josh Emmett, do we have to worry about any leg kicks here? Minimally. And
right.
Johnson, the caliber of guys he's losing to are, even Darren Elkins, the rear naked choke. Say what you will about Darren Elkins, but isn't Darren Elkins an alpha male guy?
Alpha male guy as well. Totally.
Jeez. And this is the dangerous part, is alpha male beats guys typically after they get enough guys to fight him, like that Dominic Cruz thing. But at the same time, alpha male isn't what it used to be. It's a camp that, for everything you hear, is that it's so wrapped up in Uriah Faber's ego, and
which he's back.
That he's trying to.
Uriah Faber's back. He's coming back to have another fight in the UFC.
Well, he was just talking about it, right?
No, as far as I've heard, like he's like, yeah, I'm getting back in the testing pool, like. I'm going to start. He was offered 2 fights not within the last year, and he would have taken it but decided not to. But now he's like, all right, next fight they offer him, he's willing to take, from what I was understanding.
Yeah.
So that plays against Josh Emmett as well, I would say, because, again, it's Faber worrying about Faber.
Faber again. So he's probably going to be ringside just to get his face on the thing, which then it makes even more sense while he's back. I'm going to go with Johnson decision here. I think the ball shyness is going to be the biggest reason, and the power that Emmett's going to come out with at the beginning. Johnson's dealt with that 1,000 times. I think he's a pretty safe bet to put on places too.
8,400 for the favorite, Michael Johnson, against 7,800 for Emmett. I think I'm not going to play this one that much either. I think it goes to decision.
I do too. It's such a sketchy night.
You got to put someone, you got to play someone.
Yeah, I got to play at least 5 people.
Yeah, true. I think they pretty much, most of them have been stayaways, but yeah, you got to.
Or stay away from the whole night. Take it for what it is. Maybe this is just one you sit back, you drink an IPA, you eat some popcorn with nutritional yeast on it, and you're like, oh, this is a good night. I won't be doing those things.
Neither will I. The co-main event, we go at 155 pounds. We have David Branch coming in against Jack Hermanson, the Joker himself. Is coming in with an 18-4 record off of a 2-fight winning streak, last beating Talis Latis and Gerald Mearshart via submission 3 months ago. Only losing to Thiago Santos as of late. Hermanson's got wins over Brad Scott and Alex Nicolau in there, but Hermanson really showed out in that latest fight with that rib injury and really showed that he could fight through adversity in order to get where he needs to be in the fight. Striking-wise, the Joker has a long, straight left hand, good striking, good clinch, okay takedown defense. On the ground, Hermanson has looked like on top. He's a beast. We haven't seen him much from his back. And Branch is super nasty on the ground. The 22-5 fighters coming off of a loss to, who was it as of late? Cannonier 4 months ago, TKO. Prior to that, he beat Thiago Santos in a TKO, lost to Rockhold in a submission, but has beat Jutko and was a former double champion over at LFA or at World Series of Fighting. But the 37-year-old, definitely Renzo Gracie black belt, shows it on the ground. That's where he makes most of his money. But striking-wise, Branch has shown against Thiago Santos. If he gets after you, he has enough power to get you out of there. The only real hesitation I've ever really had on Branch is he's a bit chinny. He gets hurt in a lot of his fights. He does have good enough fight IQ to be able to get it to the ground once he's hurt.
And Thiago was the Thiago at 185 still.
Oh, great point.
Yeah.
Great point at 185 pounds. So maybe a little weak from the weight cut there. But David Branch, though, his biggest issue, again, that chinniness. He just always gets a little bit hurt. So more check marks other than the age and the chin are in David Branch is checkbook, because I do think that even off of his back, he's much more dangerous than Hermanson. But I like everything I've been seeing from this Swedish 30-year-old. He just looks like he's trajecting in a much, much better place. He is a slight favorite, but this is also a coin flip of a fight. I got Hermanson decision. If not, TKO. I think that he can hurt Branch, and once he hurts him, it's more the beginning of the end, and he can stay at range and finally pick him apart. Even on the ground, Hermanson, if he gets him hurt, can submit him, but I wouldn't suggest trying to go to the ground with Branch, because that's really essentially, well, no, Branch has serviceable striking, so I got decision, TKO, Hermanson, maybe, but give me Hermanson minus 125. Who do you have in this fight and why?
Hermanson's just a guy that keeps coming forward, and he wants to figure out a way to finish you. And he doesn't care if it's submission. He doesn't care if it's a knockout. He doesn't care if he's going to take you down and just hit you enough times that the ref calls it. I just think he has good ring IQ in there, and I don't like that 4 months ago Jared Cannonier knocked David Branch flatline.
Totally agree with that.
So that makes his chin extra glass, and Hermanson can break that glass. I like the Joker here. I actually think he can finish it in round 2, maybe round 1, but I do believe he will finish it. I don't think that Thiago Santos perfect punch on Hermanson, maybe it closed the loophole a little in Hermanson's game. So, in a good way.
Right.
So, Hermanson, round 2.
8,300 on DraftKings for the slight favorite, minus 125 against David Branch's minus 105, 7,900 on DraftKings. I think I'm pretty much only going to stick on the Hermanson side of things. And at 8-3 for a finish, he's going to overpay that almost any which way. I like Hermanson here in this spot.
Yeah, I agree.
On to the main event. We got a 5-rounder, and it's a profile fight. This is already a Fight of the Year contender, and they haven't even fought. That's how exciting this is, just on paper, what's going to happen. And it's because we have two of the most dynamic strikers in the sport at 155 pounds facing off. Edson Barbosa, the Muay Thai Masters, coming in against Justin Gaethje, the Brawler. Highlight: Gaethje is coming in with a 19-2 record, only losing in the UFC to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, but last beating James Vick in a TKO 6 months ago, landing that overhand right, getting it out of there. I mean, there's so many ways to start talking about this fight. It's just like, obviously it's the leg kicks. Gaethje comes in with the leg kick repertoire where he throws them from outside, inside, and in close. Where, for me, Edson Barbosa only throws a leg kick from the outside. He's more of that Muay Thai, hand out, now I'll kick you. Now it's a powerful kick, and it'll have your knee cap hanging out in the middle of the ring. But there, as far as the levels of kicks that people show in there, I feel like Justin Gaethje, as far as the leg attack, is a little more advanced on the leg attack.
And don't you think both sides?
He throws both kicks for both angles.
Instead of just, right side heavily with Barbosa, he seems to have, it's like he's a one kick guy, like that one punch, how you just watch it locked. Right. He kind of does the same.
Barbosa does have that more on the leg kick, but he throws a switch left kick to the body that's as fast as any kick you'll ever see. But it's also just pretty much a switch kick and a punch. Like, it's a 2-punch combination. Like, it doesn't He doesn't randomly throw it out there, but Muay Thai is what Edson Barboza likes to do. If you want to see highlights, I mean, just look back at all sorts of them. Only losing to Khabib as of late, Kevin Lee, and a doctor stoppage, and getting a win over Daniel Hooker 3 months ago in a profile fight where Hooker was just outmatched by the savvier striker.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Beneil Dariush as well was picking apart Edson Barboza, and it was because he was mixing in takedowns as well as strikes, and Edson Barboza was losing that fight until that knee landed and put out the iffy chin of Beneil Dariush, which we've now started to see. Justin Gaethje has a solid chin. Again, it's been tested as much as anyone's, and it has started to finally crack a little bit, and Edson Barboza has the type of power to be able to put out anyone's lights. So, boxing-wise, I think they nullify each other. As far as all-around MMA game, Justin Gaethje's a better MMA fighter. If he ever decides to shoot a double leg takedown in there, it's where he has the advantage. If he chooses, that's not Justin Gaethje's style. He's going to probably end up using that behind the arms guard where he ducks his head, puts both hands up, and there's a really great breakdown again. Jack Slack, the casual guide to Edson Barboza. Oh, you know. But it's really, it profiles both guys really well. And Justin Gaethje uses that guard where he leans his head down, moves forward, but he'll kick from the inside framed up on you, or he'll throw that uppercut, or he'll even headbutt you, which a lot of guys don't talk about, but it is true. When he comes in with his head, if you move forward, you're going to eat the top of that head. What it is susceptible for, though, against Barboza is the uppercuts, which we've seen at Eddie Alvarez land against Gaethje, and that knee. And we have seen that knee land against Dariush. And it's perfect against Gaethje. If he leans in too far over, Barboza can throw that knee in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round and knock your ass out real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I don't care who you are. You can't eat a knee to the face, Gaethje or not. So, this one has just got violence written all over it. But Edson Barboza doesn't fight well off of his back foot. Edson Barboza against Beneil Dariush, we saw it against Khabib and Kevin Lee. If somebody gets in his face and keeps moving forward, pushing him up against the fence, he can throw up that one knee, but if it doesn't land, then he has to fight off the takedown, and that's really hard for him, and it starts to wear him down. Even though we see that killer instinct in Barboza, it is just a stylistically something that Justin Gaethje naturally does. Justin Gaethje pushes everybody up to the fence and then starts kicking you on the fence, punch you on the fence, and he'll even throw up darces and all that crazy stuff on the ground, but that's more in scrambles. So I got Justin Gaethje TKO round number 4. Anybody can win this fight at any given time. I'm excited. Put money on it or not, this is must-watch TV. This is why we love UFC, because this is a fight of the year right now, guaranteed. There's no way this isn't. Well, did I just jinx it? Is this Ngannou?
One and done.
Is this Ngannou, Derek Lewis?
Over in 3 seconds.
No, or it's 5-round decision where it's like this.
No way.
Yeah,
there's
right?
No way.
There's no way.
There's no way it's boring, but it could be over in seconds.
100%.
Both guys talented enough to do it.
100%.
Both guys going in there to bang. Both guys are super exciting. The shit part is Justin Gaethje could easily win this fight if he threw in some takedowns. I mean, as easily as you can win a fight against fucking Edson Barboza. But he's not going to throw in the takedowns. He never does. But then when I look back to his fights, I'm like, well, you know, typically a lot of the guys that he's going against, Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, that he's losing, they have pretty great ground games as well.
Sure.
Where Edson Barboza is super weak there. I've gone back and forth with this fight. I think both guys could be equally... No, Justin Gaethje's chinnier. I just think he has that killer cardio, and he's going to keep pushing forward. That as long as he doesn't get caught, he's going to be okay. And can Edson catch people? Does he have the kicks? Yes, but you know what? He's never had to go against somebody with equally, if not better, kicks. Just like you were saying at the beginning of it. Like, he's going against... The guy, like, I seen him out there with Ferguson kicking metal pipes.
Right.
Like, he's this kind of crazy. I just watch all his videos. He's just kicking. So, like you were saying with checks earlier, both guys, are they going to check, or is it just Justin Gaethje? We know the kind of fighter he is.
Yep.
He's going to he wants to go. He wants to put on a fan favorite. He wants to be remembered that way. Is Edson Barboza that kind of game? I don't know if he is. And I know everyone, we see that quit look on their face when they're in there with Khabib, but he
didn't have that. Yeah, I agree.
Like-
Edson really has turned it around as of late.
So I'm gonna go with Gaethje as well. I think he can finish it. I think Gaethje can
Interesting.
finish the
On
fight.
the plus 125 underdog, I remember last week when you were shooting off the cuff, you ended up picking Edson Barbosa.
Because, I can see Gaethje getting finished just as easily because he pushes so hard forward.
Totally.
Sometimes I think if you look back at his knockouts, brutal AF, sometimes they're mixed with the exhaustion.
Sure.
Like, he is so exhausted that knockout, like, was it the Korean Zombie that we just saw, like, the last second of his fight?
Yeah, against Yair.
There's something about that for Justin Gaethje. He freaking pushes it in there, and maybe even more so, even though it strikes instead of takedowns, he might be in your face just as much as Khabib. And
That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking as well. This is such
I
a
have
fun
a
fight.
round 4 finish as well.
Woo!
I could see it in 5, but I could see Edson finishing it. I'm going to speckle both guys, and
I
I might
agree.
even do it evenly.
I agree. Well, I think you speckle both guys because there could be a finish either way on this. But for 8,500 for the minus 155 favorite, Edson Barbosa against Justin Gaethje, 7,700.
Justin Gaethje goes there to bang. He goes in there to bang.
I think it's
What's his
50-50.
points average?
86 points.
For Justin Gaethje? Yeah, I think you
at
put
76.
Gaethje.
I think it's more like
But what's Edson's point average?
63 points.
Do you think
but he's
that
got a couple
Khabib
decisive
fight
losses.
down?
And Kevin Lee. Because Kevin Lee did the same thing Khabib did.
I know. I wonder if... Was it he just took him down the whole time?
Took him down the whole
and then
time.
elbowed him?
Yeah,
split
and
his
remember
head
when he spinned, he almost knocked out Lee. Made
I
him do the
remember
chicken
that.
dance.
Made him do that. Woo!
Little chicken dance in there. But I think that you put Gaethje more in like that 65-70% and Barbosa on the other 30.
I think 70-30 or even 80-20 because I didn't know Gaethje was that inexpensive.
Yeah,
and even if he gets finished, I picture it to be round 3, like when Barbosa gets his timing down. In that time, Gaethje will get points.
Agreed. Totally agreed. What a fun one we have coming out of Philadelphia. It was fun breaking it down. I hope you guys
next week is a pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just saying... You heard what we felt about what you put on what and where you put, and if we're like we had an underdog. Do you want to make Justin Gaethje our Bandits bonus?
It's true because we actually do have it the
That
same
makes
round.
me way more excited about glass-eyed, blue-eyed, whoever.
Marias? Was he the other one we had? Hermanson? No. Who was the other?
Sergio? I don't know.
The other underdog.
Marias.
It's Shaman Marias. And
I like Justin Gaethje for a good underdog. I think that's fun.
I like it. I like it as well. I'm trying to see the other one. I think it was.
And who's headlining that pay-per-view coming up?
The next one that's going to be around the corner. Let me get into that one.
Asking all these questions right at the end.
Yeah.
Not prepared for this.
Again, this is just one that we're going to have to really be paying attention to, or maybe just staying away from, because again, that pay-per-view, it tends to be more betting favorite.
Stacked, and you know the people usually, if the UFC is being kind to us, the people on the pay-per-views tend to be fighters that we know a little more, and the more we know, the better we make our picks. Holloway versus Poirier 2.
Gastelum Adesanya is the co-main event.
That's April 13th.
Yeah,
right?
That's right, isn't it? So we
wait.
got a little break after this one.
Yeah, we have 2 weeks off after this.
Woo! So maybe you do want to spend a little more money because you're going to get a little bit of that MMA Jones, UFC Jonesing by the end of it. You're going to be needing a little hit of that MMA.
Oh, but
such
at
a
least
fun
we
one
have
to end
Conor
it.
McGregor, so we'll have tons to talk about.
Oh, but we're gonna have such a fun ricochet.
Recap and Ricochet.
Definitely.
And thank you guys for listening. We love you so much.
Let's move the beat.
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.